It was a sunny morning, the kind of day that seemed perfect for leaving your worries behind and getting lost in the vastness of the horizon. The beach was practically empty, with only the soft sound of the waves breaking on the shore and the warmth of the sun that seemed to caress your skin. The scenery was worthy of a postcard. The turquoise blue sea, deep and inviting, seemed to stretch beyond what the eye could see, merging with the sky in a spectacle of colors. The fine golden sand, warm under your feet, reflected the light, creating an environment that could easily fool anyone, giving the feeling that there, in this little piece of paradise, the outside world did not exist. In this stunning setting, a figure stood out, walking with the elegance of someone who belongs. There, the camera captured her in an almost hypnotic way, as if she were absorbing every detail of her presence. Salma Hayek, wearing an exclusively designed swimsuit, walked along the beach with the confidence of someone who is not afraid of the stares that follow her, but also with the air of someone who knows what she is looking for, or perhaps what she is running away from. Her figure was imposing, but at the same time her expression conveyed a certain serenity, as if she were searching for something beyond what her eyes could see. The contrast between the tranquility of the surroundings and the energy that emanated from her presence was palpable. As she walked, the wind played with her hair, causing the sun's rays to play in its waves. The camera followed her slow steps, her every movement seeming to echo in the vastness of the place. The sound of the water mixed with the soft noise of the sand being displaced by her feet created a symphony of tranquility, but also of tension. Something in the air seemed to suggest that, although the setting was paradisiacal, there was much more behind this apparent calm. The beach, although apparently deserted, seemed to carry a secret energy. It was as if nature itself was attentive to Salma's arrival, as if this was not just another day at the beach, but the beginning of something much greater. Her gaze fixed on the horizon demonstrated a connection with the environment, but also with something deeper, something she could not yet fully understand. The feeling that everything at that moment was about to change, but that she did not yet know how, hung in the air, and it is at this point that the narrative begins to take shape. The paradise in sight is, in fact, just the setting. The real journey begins when Salma, who apparently seeks peace and tranquility, comes face to face with a reality much larger, more complex, and perhaps darker than she could have imagined. What was she looking for there? And more importantly, what will she find? As the waves gently lapped against the shore, Salma Hayek continued her walk, her steps firm and determined, but with an air of introspection. Each step she took seemed to reflect her inner search, a journey that had led her here to this isolated paradise. As the warm sand molded beneath her feet, she felt the need to connect with something deeper within herself. The sound of the waves, the brightness of the sun, the immensity of the ocean. All of this seemed to invite her to free herself from the bonds of the outside world and surrender to the present moment. But there was something in her gaze that did not fully correspond to the peace of the place. She was there, but at the same time she was not. She paused for a moment, looking out at the sea in front of her, the wind playing with her hair and raising a gentle breeze that touched her tanned skin. It was as if the vastness of the ocean reflected something she could not yet understand. Something that was kept inside her, something that she needed to face. She closed her eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and, for a brief second, it seemed that she had found an answer, or at least, the feeling that the truth was within her reach. However, this moment of peace was interrupted by a flash of memory, a fleeting image of something she had tried to forget, but that was now coming back to the surface. A memory from the past, something unresolved, something that connected her directly to that place. The sea, with its constant force, seemed to be a reflection of her own internal struggle. Salma moved away from the shore and began walking towards a small spot further away, where the beach seemed wilder and more untouched. The terrain was more uneven, covered in dark rocks that seemed to be the gateway to another world. Each step she took seemed to bring her closer to a turning point, the breaking point between what she thought she knew about herself and what had yet to be revealed. She approached the water again, and this time she didn't hesitate. She dove into the sea with the grace of a woman seeking renewal, something greater than mere pleasure or escapism. The cool water enveloped her body, and with each movement she felt as if she were washing away more than just the sand. The deep water seemed to be stripping away the layers of facade she'd built up over the years, revealing a more vulnerable and yet stronger version of herself. As she swam, the feeling of freedom grew, But so did the weight of the questions that accompanied it. When she emerged from the sea, the transformation was clear. Her face now held a look of determination, as if something had been revealed there. Something she needed to accept in order to continue her journey. But it wasn't just a physical transformation. Her connection with the sea and her surroundings had allowed her to look inside herself in a more honest and raw way. However, there was still a sense of unease, something she hadn't fully understood yet, but which was more present than ever. A sense that in facing her own truth, she had also touched something dangerous. Something she couldn't simply ignore. The music, which had been soft and serene until then, began to change. The tempo increased, the tone darkening. Something was coming. What did she come here for? What did the sea, with all its depth, really want to show her? As she moved away from the water and back toward the shore, there was a growing sense that the paradise in sight was about to be undone, and something much more complex and disturbing was approaching. As she emerged from the water, Salma felt taut. Something strange, as if the sea breeze had touched not only her skin, but also her soul, revealing something she was unprepared to face. The scenery around her seemed to have subtly changed, or perhaps it was she herself who was changing. The sand beneath her feet, which had once felt soft and welcoming, now felt firmer and full of meaning, as if with each step she was being pulled into new territory and unknown territory within herself. The golden sunlight, which had once felt so welcoming, now reflected an unsettling intensity, as if it were illuminating something that needed to be seen. She walked towards a small rock formation further away, where the beach met a rock wall. There, the wind seemed stronger and the atmosphere more tense. Salma felt an uncontrollable urge to go deeper, as if this place and everything it represented was calling her. She climbed the rocks with firm steps, but each movement seemed to bring a mix of anxiety and excitement to the surface. The sea was now rougher, and the sky, which had been clear and clear before, was covered in heavy clouds. The feeling of something imminent was in the air. And then, as she reached the top of the rocks and looked out over the horizon, it all became clear. A revelation, or perhaps a confirmation of what she already knew deep down. The tranquility of paradise was just an illusion, a facade she had created to protect herself from something greater, something she did not want to confront. The water that had washed over her was not just a reflection of purification, but a metaphor for her own inner journey. She was about to be challenged not by the sea or the landscape, but by herself. What she sought here was a truth that she knew that, once she found it, she would have to deal with the consequences. In an explosion of sound and emotion, a gigantic wave that had appeared on the horizon broke the calm of the beach. It was not just a natural wave. It was a symbol of the turmoil that was now building inside her. She looked at the approaching water, and for a brief moment she had the feeling that when she dove again, it would not be just a return to the surface, it would be a dive into the depths of her own psyche, a descent that could no longer be avoided. The music, which was now immersed in strong, tense beats, reflected this internal transformation, suggesting that something irreversible was about to happen. The wave surged forward, but surprisingly, Salma did not back away. Instead, she took a step forward toward the rising water. She looked out to sea with renewed determination, knowing that this decision was not just physical, but a profound choice to face what she had feared until now. The confrontation would not be with the sea or nature, but with what was hidden within herself. With the impact of the water, everything around her became a blur of movement and light. After the chaos of the wave, the scene calms down. Salma emerges, now stronger and transformed. She walks onto the sand, her posture straight and her gaze more determined than ever. Her journey across the beach and into the sea had led her to a place of deep understanding. But she knew that this was not the end. It was just the beginning of something greater, an ongoing journey where she would have to move forward, with courage and clarity, facing the storms within and without. The peace she sought was not in the paradise outside, but within herself. In herself.